This gives you a little bit of an indication of the number of students who are um, under IDEA with physical disabilities or health disabilities or any of the related low incidence types of disabilities. So you'll see everything from orthopedic impairment to multiple disabilities and deafblindness. So you have kind of a range of each of those. And then just to know that those first four categories are approximately 15% of students who are receiving special education services. So the 85% of students are in the high incidence levels, which is things like learning disabilities, emotional um, disabilities, things that are more prevalent. So you can also see here that OHI, which is other health impairment, accounts for 11% of disabilities as well. This is an overview of some of the conditions, physical impairments, and special health needs. And it's important to remember that just because a student has one of these, or just because they have asthma, or just because they have MS, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to qualify for special education services. The only way a student is going to qualify for special education services is if there is an educational impact because their disability is keeping them from making progress in school. So it's entirely possible that a child could have seizure disorders but may not qualify for special education. Now, with that being said, the majority of these students who have anything on this particular screen would qualify under the American Disabilities Act, and so they would be protected by law, but just not under IDEA in a school situation because the educational impact is not there. When talking about other health impairments, there's a huge range when we're talking about OHI, and it could be anything from physical to medical conditions. It could be permanent, or it could be something that's going to improve over time, things like cancer, allergies, fetal alcohol syndrome. ADHD also falls under that category pretty frequently. But again, there has to be an educational impact, and if there's not, then the student may qualify for that 504 under ADA. Some of the physical and health related disabilities, you'll see that there's some overlap there as well. So you could potentially see a student who has several health related disabilities who may go under the multi-disability category as opposed to a physical disability or other health impairment. So when we talk about some of the orthopedic impairments, we may be talking about CP, and it's neuromotor impairment, and I have a video on Canvas that you can link to check out, including Samuel, who has cerebral palsy, and get a glimpse into what life is like for him at school. Then there's degenerative diseases and orthopedic and muscular skeletal diseases as well. So any of these may require orthopedic assistance in terms of braces or anything that's going to help the student with mobility. They may also have a physical therapist who actually come into the school and work with them on a regular basis, and they may go to adaptive physical education classes as well. I'll just let you look over this slide and the next one, which is about other health impairments, seizure disorders, AIDS, any number of health-related issues that could potentially qualify a student under the other health impairment under IDEA. Students who suffer from traumatic brain injury may also qualify for special education services under other health impairment. Again, we need to see that educational impact. This could be temporary or permanent. It could be mild or pretty significant. And it does really vary, and it's important to know that this is something that could happen to a student during the course of their educational career. There is a video about TBI on Canvas that you can watch because that gives you a clear picture about how TBI can affect different people. And the video is about focused primarily on adults, but the implications are still the same whether we're talking adults or children in terms of the way that it impacts thinking, cognition, and even behavior. To qualify for one of the health disability related areas or low incidence disability areas, the first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be some sort of confirmation that the diagnosis exists, that physical or health condition really does exist from a medical professional. And so that's step one. And then the second piece is whether or not the disability is actually impacting the student educationally. And we've talked about that repeatedly throughout the semester. So that's just the second component to qualifying for special education services. This gives you a breakdown of where students are serviced. And as you can see, when you're looking at things like orthopedic impairments and other health impairments, it's primarily in the regular classroom, and then going down to resource rooms and separate classes. Whereas if you're looking at traumatic brain injury, it's a little bit less than the regular classroom, a lot of resource rooms and separate classes, as those students are kind of learning to deal with a major change in their cognitive abilities. Students who have major health or physical difficulties will require some sort of health monitoring. They may have a nurse who attends school with them, or the actual classroom teacher may be responsible for helping those students with some of their medical needs. There may need to be pretty significant modifications and even adaptations to the instruction, the assessments, their environment, how they use technology, how they navigate through their day. Um, and again, there may be some pretty significant specialization of instruction to meet the needs of these particular students, depending on the severity of their medical needs. As we look ahead, we can see the rest of our semester here on one slide. So this week you have that collaborative lesson plan due. All that information is on Canvas. You're going to take the exact same lesson plan you did for the UDL. You're going to take out those major UDL components that you added in the first time, and you're going to just turn that into a co-teaching lesson plan. So you don't have to kind of go and find something new. If you are so inclined and you really hated your first lesson plan and you want to do that, you can let me know, but it should be easier for you just to use that original plan and kind of change it to co-teaching. Next week, your practical assignment is due. We'll have a discussion in 2 weeks. And on the syllabus, I mentioned this last week, it says something about a digital resource. Please ignore that. It's a misprint from prior semesters. And 3 weeks, we wrap up and we are done. As always, if you have questions or concerns, please send me an email, a message on Canvas. Come in and meet with me. I would be more than happy to chat with you about any concerns that you might be having. So take care and keep me posted on how things are going.